Oh, yeah. Ron's not even here, so we'll even have to cover up the good parts.
Earmuffs.
And now for something completely different.
This is Shug Jordan, coach of the Auburn Tigers.
Say what?
No.
It's pronounced
Jordan.
Yes!
This is Shug Jordan, football coach of the Auburn Tigers.
It's pronounced Jordan. That's the name of the wildly popular, in great demand, weekly segment here on The Drive with our very good friend Jeremy Henderson from the War Eagle Reader.
Hello.
What was that?
I have no idea.
Was that a British? Hello. What's all this then?
I don't know what that was. Yeah, so Ron's not here. Apparently,
No,
he
not.
decided that it was best for him and his family.
Yeah.
For him not to.
That's basically what it was.
Participate in
the
this.
whole story about the city council meeting.
Yeah, it
It was all it's all an elaborate hoax.
Right. He just leaves for
It's
this.
all an elaborate hoax.
But it's a shame that he's not here.
I know.
Unless I'm sure he's listening.
Of
but
course, he should be.
But if he does feel as bad about this thing, as he claims,
Yeah.
that he's not a part in everything, he should totally go get right with God.
I think
at
he should.
Morris Chapel United Methodist Church
That's
in
hilarious.
Opelika, South Union Drive, the newest sponsor of It's Pronounced Jordan.
That's well done.
Thank you.
Now, say that again because I don't want to cover it up. If it's a sponsor, then
Morris Chapel United Methodist, South Union Drive in Opelika, Sunday morning worship services at 8:30. Or if you're in the Beauregard area, specifically Highway 51, you can check out Pierce Chapel United Methodist Church, also a sponsor.
how about that?
9:45 on Sundays, or Hopewell. If you're in Hopewell, specifically on County Road 136, you can go to Hopewell United Methodist Church. If you feel bad about this show after listening to it, this is where you go to feel okay about yourself.
Do a little penance.
Right.
Get right with God.
11:15 in Hopewell. And we'll tell you more about what's going on
Sure.
at these wonderful Methodist churches.
Absolutely.
Proud sponsors.
Absolutely.
Proud.
Good.
Super proud.
Yes, they must be.
Yeah.
They must be.
Obviously, they're great places.
Well,
They're
they-
sponsoring the show.
Sure. They're obviously wise.
Yes.
Okay, and hip. All right, so
I know. And
thank you.
hip.
That's what I'm screaming.
I know.
All right, so by the way, before we get into whatever it is that you've brought for us today, I have to tell you there was a wonderful, strong omen that this is going to be a fantastic show. We have really been blessed and honored. And it has been designated that this is going to be a great episode of It's Pronounced Jordan, and tell everybody why.
I was on my way, totally doing my car prep.
Sure,
Right, on the
absolutely.
way here. Wasn't paying any attention to the road.
No.
Was just looking up, praying to the Lord, please give me your words. Speak, touch my mouth with coal. What was it? Fire? I don't know what it was. Anyway, I look up, and it's at the intersection of Shug and College, and I absolutely swear, and I think it's okay in this instance, to swear, because it was.
You can promise and avow.
I swear it was a bald eagle. Now, obviously,
About those apples.
flying across the intersection of Shug, Jordan,
A bald
and College.
It had the white head.
It had a white head.
The brown body.
Slowly flapping his arms. It was big. It was bigger, way bigger than a hawk. It wasn't a a buzzard or anything. The whatever country airplane or what. Wasn't that? This thing was moving and it was huge and it had a white head. Whatever it was.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean,
wow.
Spirit. It's not worth it.
Come back.
We love you. If you love it, set it free.
That's all right. Please come back. Right now, those are the Raptor Center is out canvassing the area looking for a lost eagle.
We're gonna get a call.
Where'd you see
where
him?
Exactly was it? Did you take a shot?
All right. So what do you got for us today for our segment? It's Pronounced Jordan.
Well, last week I was going to try to get to, like I said, a million things.
Yeah, I know.
Blah, blah, blah.
But you came prepared again.
This was a little something, I don't know, that's always kind of, it never picked up the attention. I was so hoping that the athletic department would, they have a weekly War Eagle Reader kind of like roundup, they have a round table and they talk about what's on the site.
Oh, really?
And the athletic complex.
Really? I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
I would like to be in on those meetings just to observe what happens.
Well, they won't allow you to be in there, but whoever we were talking to that one time, I don't know. He said that one time, whoever it was, I don't know what he was somebody in here.
Yes.
And he said that it'd been mentioned.
Yes.
You know, that like, oh, I've heard the War Eagle Reader mention it. Some of like the, the
Right.
briefings or
Yes.
whatever, right? You know, like, oh, at the athletic department, right? Yeah, the war room.
Okay.
The War Eagle room.
Yeah.
And anyway, so this is one of the things I was hoping maybe it would be. Back when, the updike and the
Right.
toilet paper and everything broke, and we're trying to figure out if, students rolled and
Right.
the corner when Bear died, which they totally didn't, and everything. I'm
Right.
going through the microfiche looking for anything I can.
Sure.
And obviously, didn't find anything about that, obviously. But there was this one little item. I was going along, and it says, let's see, it was a story. It said, Jay Jacobs hopes Boston College rests in peace, right? I'm like,
what?
And I'm like, JJ, now this is in, 82, right?
So he was a player.
Yeah, he was a player in 82. And I was like, hopes, and it's talking about the Tangerine Bowl coming up, right? And I'm like,
Okay.
this is Jay Jacobs, right? Athletic director, Jay Jacobs,
Okay.
right? And so it was kind of like, if you read the story, it's by Clyde Bolton, right?
What a great name.
Right, Clyde.
Clyde Bolton.
Right, dean of Auburn beat writers, or father or
Clyde
uncle, Santa Claus of Auburn beat writers. Something. I think he had a great.
I thought he was a
white
stock.
beard
I
for
thought he was
while.
a stock car racer, Clyde Bolton,
It just sounds like
or a
what.
bad country singer.
So
Right.
in the grand tradition of just straight up reading things
Sure,
that I can't,
okay.
think off the cuff.
No, that's fine.
I'm gonna go
Read. No, I want to hear
from
this.
the December 17th, 1982 issue of the Birmingham News.
Oh wow. Okay.
From Orlando, Florida. Jay Jacobs is a big, malevolent offensive tackle who wants to be a funeral director.
What? What?
That just happened.
He wants to be a funeral director?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right.
I can't even tell if I wrote this or if this was Clyde's thing. But there will now be a 1 minute delay while you make up your own jokes. You dig?
That's bad.
Okay. Is everyone back?
All right.
It's not repulsive to me at all, said Jacobs, an Auburn Tiger who hopes to be in on the burial of Boston College in the Tangerine Bowl
Oh.
Saturday night.
That is fantastic writing, by the way.
And it shouldn't be to anyone who has any intelligence about it.
How about
Jacobs' grandfather, the late M.R. Pat Sanders, operated a funeral home in Lafayette for
Okay.
years.
All right.
And Jay was exposed to the business for so long that he took it for granted. And kids will be kids. Oh, a friend and I played some games occasionally. I don't know what games it was, Jacob said, grinning mischievously. They had a garage where they parked the hearses and kept vaults. We'd move the vaults around and make hideouts. My sister and her friends were younger, and we'd scare them when we could get them to go in there. Jake. So here's this thing: Auburn's athletic director, and it keeps going. But I was like, is this our JJ? I'm little Fayette. Yeah, that's where he grew up, isn't it?
Here's what's so great about this. Obviously, there's absolutely nothing. I mean, this is just a good straight up story. This is so. Because you know why? Because it's just so honest and just so real and just so neat
and just so unreported. Like you never hear about this. You never like Jacobs, who once thought you hear like played for Pat, Coach Pat
Sure.
Dye's teams and bleeds orange and blue, and you don't think like traded his dreams to be a funeral director to lead Auburn University's athletics department.
It's kind of hard to believe, especially you would think with all the stories that were done on Auburn as a whole, especially after the 2010 national championship.
Right.
There was a lot of, people were digging up I heard stories during that year that I had never heard before, and I've been a fan my whole life.
Right.
My parents went here in the 50s. You would think I'd heard just about everything, and I heard stories that reporters were digging up that I had never heard, and nobody went with this.
You think somebody would have dug it up? Huh?
Behave.
Jacobs grew up in West Point, Georgia, some 30 miles from Lafayette. I'd go over there in the summer and help my grandfather in the funeral home. He said it was illegal for me to help in embalming, but I'd haul flowers and move caskets. One time when I was 14, he was sick, and I made the 10 or 12 phone calls necessary to arrange a funeral. I called the vault company, the people who were to dig the grave, the people who were to put up the headstone. He was real proud of me, and I was proud of myself. Jacob said
At 14, he did that?
14, man. Yeah.
Of course he can handle that athletic department.
I know.
This is nothing.
I was like, we didn't roll, tumors when Bear died, but Jay Jacobs totally could have handled the dang funeral.
He really could have.
When he was 14.
Good grief.
Jacob says he is interested in becoming both an embalmer and a funeral director. If you were a funeral director and came up short of an embalmer one day, you'd have to go get somebody else, or if you couldn't do it, he explained. It doesn't take much time. You serve an apprenticeship and go to embalming school. The young man who is running my grandfather's funeral home now went to school 1 year. Anyway, so he totally wanted to do it. Yeah, and you just never heard this, the Jay Jacobs, the Undertaker, journey. You've heard,
Wow.
And it was I was kind of like at the time, I'm like, it's nice though that he would have something to fall back on if this whole Chiswick gamble didn't pay off, Like, I mean, at least he's got some training, he's got a plan B, a backup plan.
Well, here's what I think is wonderful. Yes, he did have a plan, but he also followed a dream.
Right. Yeah.
This was kind of and I think this is one of the things that I've always had a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for Jay Jacobs, but I have even more now. But
yeah.
And this is fun. It's kind of funny and it's amusing, but I'm also kind of serious because here's a guy who this was kind of what he knew, and he had this plan, and he was going to play football, but then he kind of knew. But then he allowed himself to kind of reach beyond that. He was very methodical and had a good plan, and that shows kind of having your feet on the ground. But then he also kind of allowed himself to stretch and chase a dream, and that allowed him to be where he is now.
Right.
And I think that's no joke. Thankfully.
Thankfully.
I mean, look, Lafayette's loss is certainly our gain.
The loss of Lafayette's dead is the gain
I
of Auburn's.
I didn't want to go there, but oh my goodness.
Go to Morris Chapel, United Methodist, to feel better about yourself.
Wow.
In South Union Drive. We'll get to our next sponsor in the next segment.
That's right.
They were sponsors of segment 1.
Okay. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we're bringing It's Pronounced Jordan back after this.
Same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Stick around.
So turn around and